Thought the good changeup today came into play just like it did in New York. A really good changeup. Good slider. We didn't see a lot of curveballs. We saw some, fastballs commanded. So I thought it was a really good effort today by us.
And then 19th home win. I mean, is there anything to that this season? And 19th win at home, playing at a playoff clip at home. I mean, how do you kind of bottle that up and take on the road?
We talk about that all the time, Kyle. I wish I had the answer. I think our guys feel comfortable here. Whether on the offense, our guys see the ball, they're super confident swinging the bats here, and our pitchers. Again, I think there's something to being at home in your own environment, and whether it's a home, apartment, condo. It just feels good, and our guys are playing that way. Now the trick, no doubt, it's obvious. We got to do better on the road, and that is probably more conversations than you guys can imagine. But we'll get better at that as well. And
then I see you're rocking the Jamal Murray jersey. Is he your favorite Nugget? Any thoughts on the current series going on?
Well, I got this from Kyle Freeland. Kyle told me to wear this under one condition, that I couldn't wear a T-shirt underneath it, but that didn't quite get there today. But big game tonight, Game 6 in Portland. The Nuggets, good team, without Murray, which is a bummer. But we'll be watching, just like we're watching the Avs, just like the Nuggets and the Avs, the Broncos. Coach Fangio watched the Rockets. I love this town as far as the sports community and 4 major sports franchises. I think it's awesome. But we'll be watching. Going against Damian Lillard, who's a great player, but the Nuggets have great players, and let's close them out tonight on the road.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Thomas Harding, go ahead.
Yeah, buddy. First of all, how's your jump shot?
Thomas, sort of Gail Goodrich like. I think that's how I would describe it.
All right, great. Hey, with Gomber, obviously he wasn't feeling that good, but pitched very well. The pace that he showed today, are there guys that are on your staff now, or even in the minor leagues, you could look at and say, this is the tempo that you like seeing out?
Well, we talked about it for sure. And as a matter of fact, I talked about it on the pregame show with Jack about Sensatella last night, working quickly too. I think it helps the defense. I think it sets a great tone of aggressiveness and going after guys. I think you're always on the attack, and when you're pounding the strike zone, I always think that works for you. So Austin did that today, and I think that's part of, it comes natural for him to work fast. He's a clear thinker. He doesn't need to process. If he does, he processes quickly of what he wants to do with the next pitch or subsequent pitches after that. So. We love that, right? I think it's great for the game to have pitchers work fast. I think eventually, Thomas, there's going to be a pitch clock that's going to force pitchers to work fast. So I think that's coming too.
Hey, buddy, I'm talking about Garrett Hampson, the day he had today, especially the first 2 hits, doubles off a right-handed pitcher. We talked about it on the road trip. Looks like that's coming along. Have you seen better at bats against righties?
Yeah, well, yesterday I thought was a good example of what we're trying to do with Hampy. There was a leadoff double yesterday, and he had a line drive to second base, trying to get the gun over with hard contact to the right side. It didn't work out. He hit it right at the second baseman. Then he hit another deep drive to right field that was caught. I think last homestand he hit a deep drive that wasn't caught. So, I think using the whole field is something we're trying to get with Hampy. He understands it, and he's working on it. It doesn't happen overnight, but we're starting to see signs there. We know he has some full power. We saw that with his home runs this season, and that ball today was smoked over Davis's head. So, good day for Hampy. Really was. Used the speed too with the infield hit. So, anytime you get 4 hits, I think you're seeing the ball well and doing some good things.
And that second hit, I think that was a curveball that was kind of going down away from him, reached below the strike zone. That's the one that he improved against lefties, right? Do you?
The ball down or away from him is the one that he's chased the last couple of years and missed it. Now we're starting to see a little bit more contact on the ball down and away from him, whether it's a left-handed change, whether it's a right-handed breaking ball, whether it's a down and away fastball. So he's recognizing the pitch. He's keeping his hands back. He's trying to put the ball in play, and when you do that, you got a chance to get it hit. So. I think in that scenario, and he'll talk about it, I'm sure, just, the shortening of the swing, putting the ball in play, can result in hits.
And last one for me, how is McMahon? I understand he had a little bit of an issue with the leg.
Yeah, a little bit of a mild groin strain that he got last night early in the game. He played through it, some grit. It was pretty sore after the game. We decided last night that he wasn't going to play. He was much better today. He got a bunch of treatment from Keith and the guys. We'll see how it is tomorrow. It's not an injured list scenario, we don't believe, but we'll see how he is day to day to make sure that when he gets back out there, we're comfortable with it.
Thanks, buddy.
Go to Owen Perkins.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Buddy, I wanted to ask you about Gomber. His performance seems to have really gotten better over the course of the year. Are we seeing him to become a better pitcher, or was that all there and he just got off to a slow start?
I think it's been there, but again, you're talking to a guy that going into the season only had 100 major league innings. So I think what we saw in spring training, getting to know him, watching his stuff, and then watching his stuff unfold through the first month. I think there's been some great dialogue between Austin, the pitching coaches, and I about how we see him and how to best utilize his stuff from advanced reports, his strengths. And I think we're seeing it come together. I still think there's some upside there as far as, polishing him off, as far as, command of the fastball. But, the mix of pitches are legit. And I think moving forward, the big factor will be the changeup coming into play. And we've seen that, today extensively. We saw it in New York. And that's going to be a weapon. I mean, you look at a lot of left-handed pitchers, especially in the last generation. If you have a good changeup, you can succeed. So he's got a good feel for it. He's confident. He realizes that it has to be part of his game. It helps his fastball. He doesn't have to throw as many curves and sliders. So, it's a really good weapon. And I'm excited to see where this goes as far as his 4-pitch mix. So it's good stuff.
And just to wrap that up, in terms of the evolution of his changeup, is that the biggest factor you think in the transition throughout the season, or is there something else that's even bigger?
I think that's it. I think
Okay.
if you want me to give you one thing, I'm probably.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to Larry Patrick and then finish up with Tracy. All right, go ahead.
Okay, buddy. I think your jump shot's more like John Havlicek, but that's just my opinion. So
Larry, I'm a left.
you're a lefty. Well, that leaves it out then. That's true. We see the consistency the last number of games here by the Rockies. These last 2 games, as a manager, you have to really be pleased with the consistency that you're seeing.
Well, I like the way we played today. I feel bad for Yancey. It got away from him a little bit there in the ninth, but we've been playing good baseball. On the road we didn't hit much in New York and Pittsburgh. We got one win in each city. We want more, obviously, but again, I think the overall play has been good. The offense has picked up here at home. We got to continue that when we get to Miami and Cincinnati. But right now the guys are playing the right way. All these lesser service time players are coming every day trying to prove to everybody that they're big leaguers. And I think you're seeing Charlie swing the bat better. You're seeing contributions from everybody up and down the lineup. So, and we're pitching back. The starting pitching has been solid, and I think the bullpen has picked up a little bit too. You need them all, Larry. You need all 26 guys to do, what they're capable of doing. And, right now, a lot of guys are doing stuff.
Assess, if you will, we all miss the great defensive work of Nolan Arenado, but at third base, Joshua and Mac have been playing pretty daggone good ball there, wouldn't you say?
Totally agree. I totally agree. You could, just so far this season and, a couple months, you could put a lot of highlight real plays from those two guys at third base. And, obviously a bunch at second for Mac. So, we're really, really confident in the defense that those two guys play at third base and super confident with what Mac does at second. So, and even when we move Josh over to first for defensive purposes at times, that looks good too. We saw that last year. So, and then you get Trent back in there and Trail plays good defense. Hampson and Rogers are quality defenders, we believe. So we feel good about it.
All right, we'll go to Tracy to finish it up. Trace, go ahead.
Yeah, buddy. When you look at Gomber, to see what he's done at Coors Field, he's not a hard thrower. He's more of a finesse, have to work things. But this guy's a 149 batting average, and his ERA, I think at Coors Field's 133. Pretty impressive. What is there about him that makes him so, or has he become a model now to say to guys, look, this is what you can do here?
Yeah, well, I think all that. I think, he's confident for one. Doesn't matter where he's pitching. He's got confidence in his ability. He knows, everything that's been said about the environment here and the altitude. But I think ultimately, and this is something we talk about, there's a pitcher on the other side that do the same thing in the same conditions. And we got to do it more often, right? Probably 15, 16 times a year for a starting pitcher. They make their 33 starts, and you've got to be mentally tough to handle that, and also physically tough to come in and out of altitude like we've talked about. But, I think looking back at I don't know Jeff Francis. Met him, I've talked to him. I don't know him like you guys know him, but he had a nice career here. I haven't really checked his numbers, Tracy, but. He was a good Rocky pitcher for a while as a lefty. Same with Jimenez and some other, Shasheen and De La Rosa. There's been some guys who put together some years here. And I assume that, the characteristic of all these fellows are great competitors. They're mentally tough, and they know that the other team's playing in the same conditions. And the goal is to win a ball game and outpitch the other team. That's just the starter and the relievers as well. You got to outpitch the other team, and the number of pitchers that they throw out there, we got to outpitch them.